Mic check, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Hip Hop Snapshots. I'm your host, Ross Martinez, and this episode, we're continuing our 5-episode arc of the Architects of Sound. Today, we're rolling out west, where the bass knocks harder, the sun hits warmer, and the sound feels like a hydraulic liftoff under your soul, baby. The West Coast didn't just build the scene, they built a whole new culture, and one with its own slang, its own fashion, and production style that was impossible to acknowledge and respect. And behind every bar about 6'4s and khaki suits, there were producers painting the sonic mural. So today, let's give the producers of the West Coast movement their flowers. So without further ado, grab that milk crate, take a seat. It's time to talk hip-hop history. Let's start with the Godfather out west, Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre didn't just change the sound of hip-hop, he changed the weight it carried. From world-class Wrecking Crew to NWA to Death Row and the Aftermath, he delivered sonic evolution after sonic evolution. He made funk futuristic, Compton cinematic, and launched more careers than most labels. And he didn't follow trends, he made them. Next up, let's talk about DJ Quik, smooth operator with a drum machine and a perm. Quik is one of the most underrated geniuses in hip-hop history, period. He brought live instrumentation back to the forefront of music, blending funk, soul, street with technical mastery. He didn't just produce tracks, he conducted symphonies in the key of the hood. Yay! Next, Battlecat, the unsung hero of G-Funk. If you don't know what G-Funk is, gangster funk. His keys danced, his bass line talked, and every beat sounded like a joyride down Crenshaw at golden hour. He made beats that moved with a bounce, carving out a pocket so clean MCs couldn't help but write it down. Now let's talk about Ant Banks out in the Bay. Ant Banks was stacking slaps with Too Short and the Dangerous Crew. He laid the groundwork for that laid-back mob music sound, minimalist but hypnotic. He made tracks that lurched, grooved, that made you feel like a boss just walking down the street. Next up, let's talk about Shock G, Humpty Hump. And don't sleep, Shock G of Digital Underground brought psychedelic funk to the West Coast. And he brought us Tupac. He's the reason we have Tupac on that song, Same Song. That's the first song Tupac ever had popularly. Go check it out. His production was unpredictable, jazzy, and surreal, like a Parliament Funkadelic cartoon gone hip-hop. Without Shock G, the West Coast loses some of its soul. Now let's talk about DJ Muggs. You want grimy? Muggs gave us that. As a sound architect of Cypress Hill, he flipped Latin soul and dusted loops into hallucinogenic bangers. He was East Coast in grit, West Coast in vibe, bridging both coasts and carving out a lane for alt-rap to thrive in a new era. Some honorable mentions that we have when we're talking about West Coast producers, though. Sir Jinx, the early Ice Cube and West Coast Collections collaboration king. And then here's one, Alchemist, the Alchemist himself. We saw what he did with Kendrick in this past battle with Drake. The Alchemist, born in Beverly Hills but forged in grimy sample trenches. We also have Frederick, Terrence Martin, The Mechanic, and of course, Suge Free's chaotic genius producer DJ Boo. The West Coast sound wasn't just G-Funk or gangster. That's what a lot of the people believe it to be. It was more of a state of mind. These producers made Sunshine slap, but also made Resistance feel cinematic. They made you feel like you belonged on the record. No matter where you're from, the West Coast taught us this, how to groove while speaking truth and standing up. So, without further ado, that's been another hip-hop snapshot. These 5 episodes this week, we'll be going through the coast, talking about the producers behind the mic that made the music timeless, that pushed the culture forward, that found ways to implement their soul into music and helped us understand ourselves in the process. So until next time, until next episode, dig in some crates. Stay inspired. do your best. And above all else, make sure you always are hip hop. All right, I'm your host, Ross. I'm out. Until next time, deuces.